Hello there, YouTube. Today's project is to fix the sewing machine motor and simulate how this comes apart. This did have a strain relief piece of black plastic on here. I cut it off with my small scissors because it has this in here, and it was so hard to get this apart, the back off it. You take your nuts and washers off each end. You have a little washer on there. It doesn't really matter to me how I take it apart. But when you take the back off, that's what goes on last. Because I will simulate it. I'm fighting this cord and I don't even have that on there. I'm simulating this. You'll have your front on and you have your brushes on here. So your back would actually go on last. I just pulled it apart, the front part first, because I was taking it apart. I have taken one of these apart when I was, pretty young teenager. So I knew what to expect inside of it. The brushes were sparking. Then it had too much oil and grease in it. Well, I could have been guilty because I put a few drops of oil in there. There's a felt in here. All I could figure is this bronze bushing has no hole in it. I've looked and looked. That some bronze will oil will soak through it. Well, here's the problem I had. These rivets. The way they're bent over, there was only one tang left on the other one, and it was wobbling in there. Now this will pivot. This is kind of on a bevel. I'll show this way. You can see I'm rocking this. So make sure you have that straight before you tighten it up. I can leave this a little bit loose. I have a star washer on here, number 6 bolted nut, and a star washer, which I won't be able to find. Here, we'll dump everything out real carefully. And a star washer. The little teeth on the inside, and they're beveled. Always put the bevel towards the nut. And kind of a greasy project here. So wash my hands before putting it together, but there is a bevel. I put the bevel towards the nut so it compresses it down. Then I cleaned this up. I ripped the little corner of a kitchen Scotch-Brite pad. Well, I was kind of afraid that was a little too rough a finish. So what I did is I took a pencil eraser, keep it clean, and just keep rubbing around in the direction you're going. I've done it on little motors, use pencil erasers, or electrical contacts and something. Your pencil gets dirty, I was using the clean cardboard here. Your pants, blue jeans work good. So I was just afraid the Scotch-Brite on something this delicate might be too scratchy. Even though it did clean the scum off it. Because I had one brush was sparking worse than another one. It could have been sticking in the holder a little bit. Then, on these brushes, because they're so soft, I rolled a piece of 400 grit up. Wet dry sandpaper. I had it rolled in a pretty good circle. And I studied the curvature of the brush. And I tried going the direction that it's going to be turning on there. You see, it does, if you can tell. Hard to focus. Go with the curvature. I didn't go this way, which you could first if you want to make a little. One of them was kind of messed up, so I did go. But I went ahead and went. The stuff will powder off. It's pretty delicate. To get all them lines out of there, you have lines in it, so it's smooth. And that's all I use is 400 grit because these brushes are really soft. They are softer than what goes in my Dremel even, or like in a grinder. I made brushes work in a grinder once because they weren't the right size as far as squared. But that's my repair on this. With the nut star number 6, I'm sure. I went to my little bolt assortment bin. This will not interfere with what I'm using it on, but I'll still cut it off. I'll take my Dremel blade and cut that off. So I'll have that problem fixed. I'm going to put a small dab of grease in here, a very small dab, because I know this is oil enough. There was so much oil in here, it was all out in here. I could have been guilty of it, and it was all on here. I have some electric motor cleaner. I had just a small amount left. I won't say the brand name, but I do have my favorite brand names. I sprayed this, let this completely dry. If you use electric motor cleaner, I would not recommend carburetor cleaner. Some people have used brake cleaner, but I use the actual electric motor cleaner. And I let this dry. This is dried for over a half hour. You got to be careful of these fragile little wires where they go on there when you're rubbing and scrubbing this. I did not remove these washers, thrust washers, spacers, whatever they call them. Do not lose them. I did not remove these. I may scuff this shaft up a little bit with some Scotch-Brite to smooth it, which I'll just go around it. This is just tore off a kitchen sponge, and it's even kind of wore down a little bit. I use it for cleaning everything around here. It's like if it gets too old to wash the dishes, it heads outside to the shed, or out into my bucket outside when I'm washing something. But I'll scrub on that a little bit. I'm going to put just one dab of grease, a small dab, in. Hardly any at the back, because the load's more on the front of the motor. But I could have been guilty of it, or over the years, people, well, let's oil the sewing machine motor. Well, that just cakes in there, it gets all over, it gets on your brushes, and that's what it did. It was burning this black, smoking it, making one of the brushes was sparking real bad. So, it is a problem. Same way with the old car starter. You start getting oil, if you have a, won't say the brand name, certain vehicles, oil dripped out of the back of the valve cover and run down in the starter and burn out the starter because it got oil in it. Well, when you first had the problem, I would take them apart, and other people have, and just wash it all out for a new set of brushes, fix the leaky valve cover, save the starter. But I'll add another little clip here when I put the back on. Kind of self-explanatory. I might add a couple more. I don't want this to be a real long video. Okay, this is how we reassembled. We put the shaft inside the front first, then we slid it onto this. There's little tangs where it'll stop. And what we did to hold the brushes, we just put a little bit of electrical tape. Let's hope for the best here. I know there's glue on there, but you gotta do what you gotta do. And then the back, self-explanatory how it goes on. You can always mark the cases so you don't get it backwards. I just knew that where the cord was up here, and I knew these holes were on the top because this used to be the bottom. I did replace both of them. I just pecked at it with my little tool and used a small screwdriver, break the little tangs off, push it through. I did have to start the screw with the screwdriver, the little bolt, through that metal piece, through that metal tang. But it went right through. So it was the same hole, maybe a little bit smaller. But it went right through the other hole. The back looks okay, so I'm going to leave it alone. So all we have left to do is just put the back cover on, feed your cord through. But that's how I held the brushes. I just used a little bit of electrical tape. Masking tape has a lot of glue. I figured I'd use electrical tape. I had my three choices, and I didn't want to use that sticky packaging tape. One more time, go through there. Put the shaft through here. Put the cover on. There's little tangs where it stops. It'll stop right here. The shaft's inside there, so you're feeding all up there, and you'll have these taped back. Some things have, some car alternators, they have a little hole where you drop a pin down in there. If a person did this all the time, sewing machine repairman, I suppose he could drill a small hole and put a little needle-sized pin in there to hold his brushes. But just make sure you don't disturb any of these or lose them. I just left them on. and we're going to see what it looks like when we're done. We're going to get it together and we'll fire it up and see how bad it sparks. It is very hard to see on camera. There's a small amount of sparking. There was more than that, but the more I run it, it's kind of reseeded the brushes. And this one is still doing it, but it was doing it a lot. That'll affect the speed of your motor, because the motor has been speeding up. I'm not running this full juice on the variac either. I'm running half voltage. I want these to wear in without getting hot. That one's better. Maybe I should have put more of a curve to it. As you can hear it trying to speed up. You can just see in there. Hate to take it back apart, but if I have to, I suppose I could put some sandpaper on there and slide it down between and kind of re-scrub it, to make that curve. I think that's what I'll do. Put the sandpaper towards the brush, put it in there. It's a lot better than what it was. Getting a little bit coming back here. It also depends on which way you tip the motor too. The speed of it. Yeah, if I can't save it, I'll be hunting for some more. I have one more. I don't know what modern sewing machines have for a motor, but I'm going to be shopping around for more of them because I'll have more projects. I know it runs better setting flat. I know that has something to do with it. What a greasy project. And I went and washed my hands real quick with some hand cleaner. It's so greasy in there. It's one that just didn't fry it. I almost change the setting up this way. Put a pound on it. Heater motor in a car. I seen it in an old Ford truck. It was underneath the dash. The guy was smacking it with a wrench. It was out in the wintertime, and he actually got the brushes to go better. I don't know how he knew where to hit, but we're going down the road. He's under there smacking on the electric motor, and we actually got the heater to work better. I can't remember which is which. I don't see no sparking on that side, but I still see some on this side. Well, we're going to let it run and see what happens. I'm sure it'll work good enough. Thanks for watching.